listen to me real good. I've told you once, I said it 1,000 times. You get out of those pagan, satanic, religious, Christian churches. Christians do not follow the commandments of the Bible. Christians do what they want to do. They make up their own laws, their own rules, and their own regulations. Come out of her, my people, and come out from among them. And it's real simple and easy to ascertain who are these people you need to come out from. Easy. Number one, if they keep Sunday, that's an automatic sign that you need to not have any fellowship with these commandment-breaking, wicked deceivers and seducers and bewitchers of the truth. Simple.
All right, glory to the King. Y'all hear me? Everybody hear me good? That's good. You hear that deacon? It's coming in pretty good. Hey, bless you all. Good to see you on this Shabbat day. Hallelujah. All right, we're going to go ahead and open up with prayer. Get into this right away. Blessed Heavenly Father, in the mighty name of Jesus the Christ, our Messiah and soon-coming King, we come before you today as your people, as your sons and your daughters which carry your name, as your seed. We thank you, our Elohim, for this Shabbat day, this day of your rest, that we may rest from our burdens and labors as you did. And we ask you, Heavenly Father, by the power of the Holy Spirit, that you would grant us ears to hear, eyes to see, and a heart to perceive your word today. We ask that you would mightily be in the midst of all the other fellowships this day. We ask all this in the mighty name of Jesus. Glory, hallelujah. Glory to the King. Y'all may be seated. I just want to quickly give a shout out and a blessing and a greeting to Pastor Dowell and the saints down there in Georgia. As you can see, it's kind of empty in here today because a good part of Straitway is down there. But the fellowship, they just opened the multi-purpose building day. I'm sure you all have been following and watching that. And they're having a great time now. They've been putting out some pretty good videos on Marco Polo. So you know if they would, though. You know they're going to have a good time down there, right? Anyway, today we're going to talk about temperance and self-control. If there's anything that's more pertinent to the time that we live in, it's those aspects of those two things. You know, temperance is a fruit of the Spirit. And today, you know, we're living in the time of the green, right? And so you got to think about it. You got to keep your focus about what's coming down the road here, because we know the days are only going to get more evil. The Word promised us that. And if you're having difficulty right now getting yourself in line, getting self-control, getting yourself temperate, today, when all these things start to diminish, that spirit, if you don't get a hold of it now, is only going to get worse and tempt you worse. So it's high time to actually do something about it, be proactive. All right, we ain't got no PowerPoint today, as you can see. I'm not tech savvy. I have a laptop. I have no idea PowerPoint, so we're doing it the old-fashioned day off notes. I will give you where I'm going to be reading. You're welcome to write it down. You know, keep track of it. I'll ever go back and look. I hope this brings you much edification today. So with that, we're going to get started. We shouldn't be here too long today, but hey, glory to the King. So, all right, temperance and self-control. I'm going to read off a few bullet points, and so you can kind of focus and get, you know, where this is going to go, what we need to look for, what we need to be out on the lookout for as the days go on. All right, self-control. Fight directly with your will, fleshly urges and impulses. Temperance takes determination and resilience. It's about bringing one's flesh into subjection continually. It's a non-stop process. Temperance is keeping yourself in and under the will of the Most High. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. So everything you're doing, if you're acknowledging Him, whatever path you're going in, He shall direct thy ways. The key to temperance is to make yourself obey. Obey the Word and what it tells us we must do in order to remain temperate. You have to make yourself. obey the word. Walking in temperance means that you are in control and not out of control or being controlled. The refusal or inability to get your flesh under control will lead one right into destruction. A turning over to self-will will lead to a great calamity and distress. These are all these bullet points addressing about what we're going to get into here. Lack of self-control manifests itself in many ways. Many ways. We all know that. We've all experienced, we've all dealt with it, right? Weight gain, excessive talking, impatience, rage, frustration, anger, complaining, murmuring. Who hasn't been a partaker of these things? Presumptuous, emotional outbursts, and letting your emotions take over your better judgment. Loss of temperance will push you to leave your place and stand up in error. Given over to loss of self-control will remove blessings from your life. Having a thankful spirit will greatly help the fight against the loss of self-control. The loss of temperance drives men for that which is forbidden and for that which is unlawful. Temperance must be a part of you, especially when it comes to being in a community or a home fellowship, and it starts in your personal homes. All right, with that, to give you a better idea of what self-control is and what temperance is, we're going to look at what intemperance is. So you can see all the reasons you don't want to be intemperate. All right, according to the dictionary, intemperance, it simply means a lack of moderation or restraint. It means excessive indulgence. So already by them descriptive terms, you know that's not good for you, right? You know it's your enemy. And they give a whole bunch of words that, you know, follow underneath the word intemperance. And we're just going to read through some of them here. It means to be overindulgent, overconsumption, intemperateness, immoderation, lack of restraint, abandon. Now put yourself, if you're actually dealing with any of these things, listen as I read these off, and if this fits your bill, you know already that you got something to defeat. Okay? Lack of self-control, abandonment, excess, excessiveness, extravagance, profligacy, whatever the word is, lavishness, self-indulgence, self-gratification. Oh, in this country, that one there is right at the top of the list. Self-gratification. The flesh has got to have more than the spirit man ever will. Debauchery, decadence, wantonness, dissipation, dissolution, drinking hard, heavy drinking. Oftentimes we hear people that have lack of control. It has to do with drinking, it has to do with appetite. That seems to be the common connection, but it's much broader and much greater. It starts with your thoughts. It can attack all aspects of your life. Alcohol abuse, dipsomania, drunkenness, intoxication, inebriation, tipsiness, sottishness, crapulence. Anybody ever heard of crapulence before? I have no idea what it is, but they list it as part of the term. So, anyway, so if any of these things remotely hit you, you already know that you have to identify what this is exactly and go take care of it, because it will prevent you from being temperate and exercising self-control. You may have to get deliverance, right? So ask yourself, do you exhibit any of these things? Be honest with yourself. All right, we're going to start out in the book of Galatians. It's going to be chapter 5, verses 19 through 24. Galatians chapter 5, 19 through 24. And everyone knows this is the chapter talking about the fruits of the Spirit. All right? So Paul, when he's writing a letter, first of all, he identifies what the bad fruits are, what the works of the flesh are, and then he builds right up into what the fruits of the Spirit are. He wants us to get our minds looking and focused on what we ought not to be walking in. All right, verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest. They're made known. They're made known by your daily actions, what your thoughts are, what you're doing when you get up in the morning, what you do throughout the day, when you go to bed at night, and even be active in your dreams. But Paul's letting you know that they are manifest, made known, and you shouldn't be able to miss the fact that you might be operating in the works of the flesh. Which are these? Adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, and I'm not going to break all these things down. You want to, you can certainly go back and do it. And I would encourage you to do it so you get a better understanding, grasp what each one of these words mean, all right? Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, and heresies. Envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah. What other greater, clear warning can you get than those words by Paul? I mean, he only listed 17 of them, right? But every one he listed has branches here and has a branch there, and you know it's a scope this big. Okay, but he's just giving you the base of bottom things. So if you see any of the manifestations of them, you can look further and deeper into the other things. All right, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, it's joy, it's peace, it's long-suffering, it's gentleness, it's goodness, faith, and of course the ones we've listed. So they're not only there to strengthen you, right, but they're also there for the edification and the strengthening of your brothers and sisters. If you walk in these fruits of the Spirit, they'll see it, they'll identify it, they can be encouraged and edified by that. Meekness and temperance, against such there is no law. So we know about the 9 fruits of the Spirit. We hear that talked about quite frequently here. And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. So how are they crucifying the affections and the lust? By walking in the fruits of the Spirit. The 9 of them. The word temperance. The word temperance this is the Thayer definition for those who are taking notes. It's the Greek 1466. And it's very simple. The terminology, Thayer does a really good job. Thayer, their explanation, their definitions, you're going to see, really fits the bill. Besides what's strong is just, But it simply means self-control. And they go on to list for us, it's the virtue of one who masters his desires and passions, especially his sensual appetites. Now, if I can't get any clearer than that, I don't know what kind of definition you're looking for, truly. But it is pretty clear. One who masters his desires and passions. That's the overcoming victory. That's where the temperance comes in. That's where self-control comes in. All right, glory to the King. All righty, going on here. 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 1 through 6. Remember, as we're talking about this, just keep in mind, everything that I'm going to hit on has in some way, shape, or form to do with temperance and self-control. It has to do with self-discipline. It has to do with focus. All right, okay, everybody, if you're on your little phones, or if you're there and you're going to follow along. All right, these are the words of the Apostle Peter, as he's, and for anybody that wants to know, all this is going to be out of the King James. Okay, so. All right, starting at 2 Peter chapter 1, starting at verse 1, this through 6, again, as I already said. Simon Peter, a servant and an apostle of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. So Peter's out here, he's going to identify exactly who he is so he can speak from authority. Because he is an apostle and he's also a servant. He's been around, he understands, right? To them that have obtained, like precious faith with us, to the righteousness of Yah and our Savior Yeshua HaMashiach. Now Peter acknowledges and makes it known that he is in a position of a servant under the authority of Jesus Christ, and that he is there to do the bidding of his master, and be an example of his master's house. And the reason he's setting you up to show you the rest of what he's going to say has great significance, right? He's telling you the source from where he's coming from and where he's speaking these things by that authority. Grace and peace be multiplied unto you through the knowledge of Yah and of Yeshua our Master. According to his divine power, has he given unto us all things that pertain unto life. He's given us everything to pertain unto life. He's not held nothing back. And godliness, through the knowledge of him that hath called us to glory and to virtue. So what did he call us to? He called us to glory and to virtue. Okay? Whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises. So Yah is not going to give you something that you can't obtain to. Certainly he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't be a just and righteous Elohim. Okay? That by these you might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. So where's the corruption come through? Through the world through lust. Okay, so it's the lust of the flesh, the lust of the natural man. And in order to escape that old worldliness, you have to escape the lust and the corruption that come from the world. All right? And besides this, besides everything you just got done talking about, how to escape this stuff, how to get away this stuff, reminding us that who has called us to glory and virtue, and all this, and he goes on to say this. Peter's going to expand and expound on this. And besides this, everything that I just told you, everything I just made you aware of, giving all diligence, which is giving great haste. That's simply nothing more than giving great haste, giving diligence. All diligence, not just a part, not just a similitude, something constant, all of it, right? Add to your faith, contribute to it, build it up. And building up your faith, adding your faith with virtue, which is moral goodness and excellence and purity, and to virtue knowledge, which is a knowing of things, an understanding, and to knowledge. So Peter had, he purposely gave us a list in this order, because one thing leads to the next, to the next, to the next, till you get the solid, perfect man, okay? And to knowledge, temperance, self-control. And to temperance, patience, and to patience, godliness. So Peter, the only way that he could speak this stuff and know this stuff, not only by revelation, but actually walking with the Master, because he had to live this stuff out himself. He would be a hypocrite writing letters and telling everybody else they had to do something he wasn't willing to do himself, as we know in all the letters. Okay, as we see time and time again, because our forefathers, those that went before us, certainly weren't hypocrites. These were men of serious mind, because they knew that not only that generation, but those coming behind them. All right, moving on. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. Remember, keep in mind, always continue, this is all about self-control, being focused and being disciplined. Getting that fruit of the Spirit called temperance. Know you not that they which run in a race run all? Do you know that? Everybody in this room is striving to get to the end. Are they not? You better be, because if you're not, you might as well turn around and walk out the door right now. You're just wasting your time. But only one receiveth the prize. So there's definitely competition. You know, you're in this for yourself. You got to get to the end. You got to push yourself. You got to get off all that dead weight, all that sin, all that wickedness, in order to run with less weight. But one receiveth the prize. So run. Get out there and get it done. Be proactive. God's people are not bench sitters. They've always been proactive. But get up and go get the job done. And every man that striveth for mastery. They have a determination. They have a goal. They have an agenda. They're not waiting for somebody else to do it for them. They have to be proactive. It's up to them and up to them alone. You have to give an account to Yah, not everybody else for you. You have to. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. He has self-control. He has focus. He has discipline in everything that he does. In his actions, in his thoughts, how he walks before other people, before his brothers and sisters. That fruit of the Spirit. You walk with that Spirit enough, you practice that Spirit enough, you're in fellowship with that Spirit enough, and it becomes part of you. It really does. No, it does. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. And what he's talking about here, what Paul is talking to, is that, and we're going to say later on in his writings as well, is what he's just repeating something that he's observed, just by being out there and knowing the fact that the man is living at that time, is the simple fact that there's people out there that are in the world. Now, these people that are in the world, right, how do you think these elite and these rich people get in the positions that they're in? And they stay in the positions. That's because they have extreme self-control. They have extreme temperance. They have extreme discipline. And they're not going to let that take them any way in one direction or another. They have a focus. And that's what Paul is talking about. They do it to receive a corruptible crown. We an incorruptible, right? All right, the word mastery. We're going to go over that quick because, again, Paul's talking about striving to obtain this mastery, this temperance in all things. And Paul says, Paul says, help me, Jesus. The Thayer definition, back in the Thayer again, this is the word mastery as in 1 Corinthians 9:25. It's the Greek 75, and if you know me and listen to me, I don't try to pronounce the Greek or Hebrew words because you do it, all right? You'll have better success than I will. All right, and the definition for mastery is to enter a contest, contend in gymnastic games, don't ask me, to contend with adversaries. The biggest adversary is who? You, your own self. Fight, metaphorically to contend, struggle with difficulties and dangers. To endeavor with a strenuous zeal, strive to obtain something. So you're going to strive to overcome the adversaries that are keeping you from walking in all temperance. That's basically what Paul is saying in a nutshell right here. Is that clear? Hallelujah. Glory to God. We want to be clear. We definitely want to be clear. And verse 26. And therefore so I run. So Paul is saying, I'm doing the same thing. I'm in this race with y'all. I'm not going to stand there just because of the position of authority. I'm like, I don't have to do anything. I have to do even more so because everybody's watching me. I'm an example, right? So I'm going to get it done too, and I'm going to show you that it can be done. That's what Paul is saying. And therefore so run, not as uncertainty. Paul has focus. He knows what he's running for. He knows where he's running to. So fight I, not as one that beateth the air. Again, Paul had purpose. Paul had goals and determinations about pleasing Yeshua and attaining the prize at the end of this earthly race, which only goes to those who master this flesh and conquer the flesh with its affections and lusts. Have to get beyond all that. All of it. In verse 27, but I keep under my body. Man, if there's anything you want to remember about Paul's stuff, this stuff here just sticks out to me all the time. Anything that comes in my head is what Paul's words were right here. But I keep under my body. I mean, this is a huge self-discipline that Paul's taken upon himself. I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest by any means when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. So Paul, he's out here talking to all the masters. He's writing letters. He's going to different congregations, visiting them, seeing what the assembly is. He's admonishing them. He's edifying, doing whatever. And he's knowing in the back of his head as he's telling everybody all these things, right? He the more so, because he's preaching the word, has to bring himself into a place of subjection so he can talk to somebody how the authority is, but he'll never for a second believe that doesn't fall back on him, that he's not accountable to the word he speaks. That's like everybody that stands up here. That's like everybody that does the blog talks and does, the sisters. They know the words coming out of their mouth they're even more accountable because they're giving them to you, because Yah is giving them to give them to you. So they have no excuse and no escape from what they're telling you. Paul was aware of this. So he did a very good job of keeping this keeping this awareness in his mind and keeping himself in a state where he was always under self-control. He was always temperate. In any one verse talks about Paul and his battles this, and that kind of reflects on what Pastor told everybody to read last week, which is Romans chapter 7, 14 through 25. Paul's personal battle in the flesh that Elder Rufus talked about in Blog Talk as well. Because it says a lot. It's what you have to do. You have to know what's going on in order to get victory over it, don't you? Yeah. All right, going to Titus chapter 2, verse 1 through 3. Titus chapter 2, 1 through 3. Now, these are all different aspects of self-control and discipline. All right. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine. Something that gives you a solid footing, a solid stance. Something that isn't guesswork. Something that isn't left for speculation, but those things which are sound doctrine. Speak those things that are founded in this word, right? That the aged men be sober, grave, temperate. Why the aged men? Well, because after years of living, after years of personal experience, they had better learn temperance. Other than that, you got nothing but a bunch of foolish, old, hoary-headed people that you can't learn nothing from. So that's why this letter is addressed this way. Temperate, sound in faith, in charity, and patience, because they need to be example to the younger people that are coming up behind them. I mean, what weight, what merit do they have if they wasted their whole life on nothing? It can't be a demonstration of, walking in righteousness and uprightness. I wouldn't want to stand before you and answer that, especially, being in the faith. Sound in faith, in love, or with charity, in patience. The aged women likewise. So this letter is addressing both sides of the spectrum, not just the men, but the older sisters as well. That they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not dotting about, not gossiping, not doing all the things that the young daughters of Zion, they need strengthening, not to be defeated, not to wonder and second guess, like, what in the world am I looking at here? These people are supposed to be my example. Now what do I do? Who do I go to? So there's a huge weight on the older generation. As becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things. And you have to ask yourself, why was all this stuff written that way? Because obviously there was things going on that had to be addressed. That's why when you read all these letters, something needed to be addressed. The same battles they dealt with then, same things we deal with now. Okay, just something else. That's just simply common sense stuff, As you get older, the other thing, because it's talking about aged men and aged women, you're going to find out. Now, I just turned 60, a month ago or something? 2 months ago, whatever it was. And you're going to find out when you start getting older that you're going to get this self-imposed temperance, self-imposed self-control, because you just can't do the thing. When I was younger, I could get up on a roof, right? I could frame a house. I can look at that now just by my age and say, oh, hell no, ain't no way I'm getting up there. That's what I talk about, self-imposed, so you should have enough common sense to know that you can't do it. I don't know if you've all heard, Brother Rich knows, and some of the old timers here, Diane. Brother Roger, he's laying down here in the cemetery down there. I don't know if many of you heard this, but I'll just tell you quick. Brother Roger was in his early 70s, I believe. Now, Brother Roger, in his adult life, or in his life outside of the ministry here, growing up to provide for his family, he was a milkman, right? He would deliver milk. And he rode a bike. He did a lot of bike riding, hauled the milk, whatever. I think later on he got a truck, but Brother Roger could tell you all day long about riding a bike, because that's all he did. He did it from sun up to sundown, right? He knew all about it. So Brother Roger he's up in his early 70s, and Brother Roger decides that he's going to show us how to ride a bike, right? Because he's got the life experience, right? Age hasn't taught him self-control at this point. At least he's fooling himself thinking he has it, but he hasn't. So what's Brother Roger do? Brother Roger, y'all know this. You can already know where I'm going, right? Yeah, he jumps on the bike, right? He got 30, 40 feet, 50 feet. There's only one telephone pole there. There's nothing else. Nothing. I mean, there's nothing. There's one telephone. And that bike went right for and smacked that telephone pole head on. Do you think we ran over there? Because we kept telling him, but Roger, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Deacon Gaston was really, brother, I wouldn't do that. I'm telling you. Don't do that. Well, of course he did. Ended up on the ground. And we went over and picked him up. But he's like, okay, I'm done. You can have the bike. I'm finished. But that, again, that just shows you that when your age or some things, you just have to, it doesn't even take self-control. It should already be a part of you just because of the fact of your age, okay? Proverbs 25, verse 28. Proverbs 25, verse 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down and without walls. So think about the city. Think about a city that's broken down. Think about it doesn't have any fencing around it. It doesn't have, there's no guard around the city, right? There's nothing there. Anything can just come in and invade that city. There's no protection there. Or I'll just read my notes. Having no rule, having no control over your spirit is akin to a city which is defenseless, a city which has nothing to inhibit or prevent attacks against it. It's like someone who doesn't have restraint against affections and lust. You're an open doorway. All these things can just tread right into your grounds, right into your temple, right? Right into your city. No fence about them, no guard against them. This is a very vulnerable state. One which offers open invitation to a host of demonic invaders. Talking all about somebody that has no rule over his own spirit, has no temperance, no self-control about himself. Proverbs 16, verse 32. Proverbs 16, verse 32. The word says, he that is slow to anger is, better than the mighty. Let me start over here again. Get distracted with my water. He that is slow to anger, not quick, not impulse, not acting out of an emotional state, out of a situation, circumstance that just happened, talking about them are slow. They actually have a temperance and a self-control about themselves. That when they see a situation, circumstance, they're not going to react adversely to it, right? Not going to rise up in anger or rage or whatever the case may be. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. And the mighty in here meaning a man of great strength and valor. That's the comparison here, right? You actually have more authority, more strength about yourself by resisting rising up in anger than somebody the greatest mighty warrior that you could think of. That's what they're trying to say. And he that ruleth, which means has control, his spirit. So he that ruleth his spirit, and he that taketh the city. So again, the whole verse, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city. And again, meaning those of us who have self-control over our anger and things that might trigger anger is seen as being greater than the greatest of warriors, because we've learned temperance and self-control in that area. We've learned that certain things that happen to us, we're not going to respond negatively. Okay? Great warriors must possess great awareness. They can sense when danger is nearby and have their minds prepared to meet the challenges that might soon meet them head on. Those who are prone to outbursts of anger show clearly that their strength is small and they don't have rule over their own spirit. Those who are slow to anger have a made-up mind. They've already had a predetermination. If this comes upon my path, on the threshold of my house, I'm not going to act that way. Husband and wives do it all the time. You know why they do it? Because they believe they know each other so well. They believe one is supposed to accept the other one when they go and have these ugly outbursts, because just the fact that they're together. And the longer you're together, it's like the more lax you get. You're supposed to understand why each other's acting like that, when it's quite the contrary to that. Those who are slow to anger have made up mind not to allow things to get to them, to irk them, to upset them. They display great restraint. Again, the reminder, we're talking about temperance and self-control. So keep putting that in your head as we're going over this stuff, okay? Let's see, Isaiah 55, verse 2. Isaiah 55, verse 2. And as I said earlier, we're going to cover different aspects. I mean, the spectrum is so broad when it comes to self-control and walking in the temperate spirit that we simply just don't cover everything. So we're just trying to hit the base things here, the things that we can quickly, readily identify in our own selves. I did a blog talk along these lines. I don't know when it was, probably 2 to 3 months ago. Kind of along the same theme, and I put it out there that I said, you really want to see where you're at as far as your self-control and your temperance? Just go to 1 meal a day. No snacks. Do it for a month. Don't talk about it for 2 or 3 days, because just about anybody here can do that, right? Go for a month. Right, just do it. I mean, I wouldn't tell you to do it. I did it. You can ask Diane, Lisa. I did do it. You can feel it. You can feel the flesh. Come on, you get home at night. You've had a hard day at work, right? You're sitting down. You're enjoying a movie. You're talking to the family. Like me, a bag of chips. I sit my ass down in my chair and I've been in that office all day, right? And I'm drained. I've been talking to people and I've been practicing all kinds of self-restraint in there. Because some of this stuff, they will wear your ears out, right? They just go on and on and on about their life. But, you're like a wet noodle. So you get home, you sit down, I'm here, and talk to, the wives and just chill for a while and, just, put it on. I like Fury. Y'all seen Fury before? The movie? I go all the good parts. I zip to all the good parts. Forget all the battles, right? The tank battles. I like them. So I'll be sitting there. I've watched them 100 times. Just like Pastor talks about Braveheart. He's watched Braveheart. He said probably 100 times, right? But I'll sit down and yeah, you're comfortable. I mean, you might grab yourself a drink, a beer, whatever. Big old bag of chips. Chips are easy. You just open the bag and they're right there. It's a ready meal. You don't have to do anything. Oh, come on, y'all know that's why y'all eat chips. Right? But that's what I'm talking about, temperance. So, and then the next thing you know, you look in the mirror, down the road, and you got that little gut buster going on because the chips are taking over. You understand? So, if it's something that you want a purpose to do, try to eat 1 meal a night, 1 meal a day for a month. Just see what happens. Listen to your flesh talk to you. Hey, try abstaining from alcohol for a month. We got brothers in this ministry that they've told me before, and I really appreciate it. Young brothers, right? I'm not going to give their names, but this is where their mindset is. This is where their heart is. That if they have more than two drinks, like say on a Shabbat or something, and they're not feeling the effects of the 2 drinks, they're telling themselves their body's building up too big a tolerance. They'll put themselves on a fast for 3 weeks. They ain't touching nothing. They have that kind of self-control. They taught themselves that. They observed what their own body was manifesting and said, I got to do something about this because I'm not going to allow myself, because it's just going to take you farther that way. Because everybody knows when you drink, you get that merry feeling. And that's where we're supposed to okay, but, it's like, another one, I'll be all right. Another one, next morning, you got a massive headache. You know the story, yeah, right? All right, getting back to this. Isaiah 55, verse 2. Isaiah 55, verse 2. All right, Isaiah says, wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread? So the question is, why are you spending your money on all this other stuff, not on just the food that you need to live, all right? And your labor for that which satisfieth not. Hearken diligently, pay attention, I'm telling you something important here. Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delighted itself in fatness. Impulse buying. That's what I get out of this when I read it, besides other things. But, okay, so how many, you go to Walmart, right? You go to the grocery store, okay. If you don't bring a list, that's dangerous. At least try to bring a list. But you find yourself wandering the aisles. Yeah, look at Brother John, he's guilty. He's admitting it, right? And you start finding you have a certain products you're going to go to get there, right? You just had a few things. You even got a budget to stick in, but then you find yourself, like this, I need this and I need that. Impulse buying. You go over to sporting goods, I do that crap. I got to stop that. I go to the fishing section, start chucking lures in, right? Impulse buying, right? The next thing I know, I'm looking at my bank account and, damn, lack of self-control. Again, that's simply what it was. So if I want to keep hurting, I'm going to keep doing the same thing. I'm going to have a change of mind and not do that. I'm going to eat before I go to the store and go shopping, or, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, psychological stuff. Yeah. Yeah, don't ever go hungry. You've heard that before. It's true, too. That's trouble when you go there hungry. Go right to the pizza section. Anyway. All right, 1 Peter chapter 4, 1 through 4. 1 Peter 4, 1 through 4. Forasmuch then as Christ has suffered for us in the flesh, so he went through this already, so we have no excuse. Arm yourself, prepare yourself, get your mind ready for this battle. Likewise, with the same mind that it took for Yeshua to go through this life and not sin, and not fall into temptation. For he that has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. You've been buffeted, you've been tempted by things, and he's given you the ability to overcome. He's already given us the example. That he no longer, talking about us, not Yeshua, of course, but us, it's a person about us, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of Yah. So we're saying that get the hell out of the flesh, live in the Spirit. Walk in the Spirit. How do we go about gaining the mindset as our Messiah? If we allow our flesh to have rule according to the flesh, as do the unconverted Gentiles and heathen, which do not have governors on any of their fleshly ways, and this is suffering in the flesh when we prevent the way. What in the world? Did I actually type that? I must have been half sleeping. I can't even make sense of that. I hope you all can. The ways of the old man coming back into our minds, meaning that we've got to stop walking the flesh and giving over to the lust of the flesh. Have that temperance and that control that we don't allow ourselves to do that. For the time past of our life may suffice us. So Peter, he's bringing us back to our former lives again to give us a grasp of where we came from and what we've escaped from. For the time past of life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles. So now he's about to tell you what the will of the Gentiles are. When we walked in lasciviousness, which is simply unbridled lust, because we had no mind other than to do the things that we were born with and pre-programmed with. We didn't have the light, we just had darkness. Walk in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, bankings, and abominable idolatries. It's amazing that when Paul talks about the things that in our past life, we're talking about walking according to the will of the Gentiles, he could have listed a whole ton of things. I always focus on the stuff that he decided to bring out to the forefront because this is the most pertinent, prioritized thing that he wants us to be aware of. Verse 4, wherein they think it strange that you run not with them to the same excessive riot, speaking evil of you. You've learned something when you come into the light, when you've come from an unconverted state to a converted state, when you're one of Yah's now, when you're in the faith. Something has happened. They can see it. They know it. And they're going to sit there and look at you and say, what in the world going on here? All of a sudden, everybody in here that's come out of the world, right? I mean, everybody's been challenged by these different things. All of a sudden, you are now labeled and seen as one who is abnormal, and they are the normal. Because they're looking at you, what the hell happened to you? The rest of us are fine, but something jacked up with you. The Gentiles have nothing to draw from. They have no answers as to why you act different than they do, and they judge you according to their unconverted condition because that's all they know. That is all they know. Alrighty. Proverbs chapter 23, verses 1. Let's see. Proverbs chapter 23, verses 1 and 2. So over and over and over again, this is all talking about getting hold of yourself. Getting hold, understanding what challenges you, what understanding it is to your mind or to your own recognition that takes you away from temperance to intemperance. And again, we're just keeping it basic and simple for just a quick awareness. All right, Proverbs chapter 23, verses 1 and 2. When thou sittest to eat with a ruler, so we're laying out Solomon's laying it out here for us. He gives an idea of what's going on. Consider diligently what is before thee. Now, he was a man. He was a ruler. He was up there. He understood. He had people. He had guests sitting down there. He saw the behavior of people, right? And so he's given us some good advice. And put a knife to thy throat, if thou be a man given to appetite. Okay, so I need you to ask yourself, what kind of picture of yourself would you present if you stuffed your gut full in front of someone who has attained to a place of prominence and importance? They had to restrict themselves. They had to exercise self-control to get to that place that they are. But then you're sitting in front of them, and what kind of picture are you placing in front of their mind? They can't trust you. I mean, you practice no self-control. You're at their table, and you're just going like to town, like you're not going to get another meal. They already know what manner of person you are. They can't do anything else to you after that. They can't entrust to you for your things because they own a kingdom, right? They possess a kingdom. They have goods, they have wealth, they have everything. That's why they're in a position of authority. But you're not going to be any part of their servitude because you've just displayed you don't have self-control. Let me see. Put a knife throat be if thou be a man given to appetite. Again, that person in authority recognizes self-control, and because of self-control, that authority was successful in his life. He practiced it. He understood it. That authority understands personal restraint. Again, that's like we said earlier. That's why these people, these elite, are where they are, because they did an exceptional job of practicing personal restraint. Again, they had focus. They had goals. They conditioned themselves to accept this and not to accept that. And they're going to live in their wealth and their lifestyles, their treasures on this earth, but they got a reward coming. Proverbs chapter 6. Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 through 11. Proverbs 6, 6 through 11. You ought to be happy. Typically, a few times that I have been up here and preached for the people, shoot, I remember one time it was 20 minutes. My goodness. We're getting somewhere today. Okay. Hallelujah. All right, Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 through 11. Again, here's the words of Solomon. To be considered the wisest man ever to walk this planet besides Yeshua. But hey, glory to the King. The man definitely had wisdom. He asked for it and got it, right? And it says, go to the ant, thou sluggard. Everybody knows what a sluggard is, right? Lazy person. He doesn't want to commit to anything, doesn't want to do anything, has any entitlement mentality. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Do something with yourself. At least go look at the damn ant pile. See what they're doing, right? If you can't do nothing else, get out there in the ground and watch the ants. See what they're doing. Which have no guide, overseer, or ruler. Now listen to the ants. These are ants. They don't have the free will thought like we do, right? Ants are self-governing. They're self-controlling. No wonder Solomon said, go watch them, sluggard. They understand that they are part of a colony, as we are part of an assembly, and must practice diligence that so that none are left without and the work doesn't get hindered coming into community lifestyle. They absolutely have to be totally, you can ask anyone. I mean, us here at the hub, you can talk to Elder Rufus, you can talk to Elder Mitchell. If they had lack of self-control, lack of restraint, they didn't walk in the fruit of temperance, They never got off the ground because every one of them had to have a made-up mind to push for the same goals and same agenda. Clarksville up there with Brother Ron, they've almost got enough saved up to go out and get a piece of property. That's all through proper diligence. That's all. And sometimes it was self-imposed, or sometimes it was imposed, self-control on everybody so they could get there. But that was the point. It was a common thing, right? Same mind. All right, what do the ants do? It provides her meat in the summer and gather her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O lazy person? How are you going to lay there, O sluggard? When wilt thou rise out of sleep? When are you going to snap out of this and start doing something proactive? Because you're not going to get anywhere. At the end, you're going to be disposed of. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and they want is an armed man. Simply, the simplest advice, just go watch the ants. Just go watch them. Does anybody here ever watch ants work? Yeah. I mean, it's a simple advice. Just go out there and do it. It only takes 20 minutes of your day. Just don't go on a fire ant mound, okay? All right, they are vicious. They are definitely vicious. But just something simple as that. What if you can't subject yourself and have self-control to get up in the morning and be ready to work and get to work? Especially husbands, head of the family, right? You will suffer and your family will suffer. It's easy to be lazy. It's what the flesh wants. Mine doesn't. I don't want to do crap. Right? You got to get up and got stuff to do. I'm just being honest. I put this in. We are the snooze button generation. No, we are the snooze button. How many people when the alarm goes off are right up? How many people are here to snooze? That's about half and half. Yeah, I got another 5 minutes. I got another 10 minutes. And then it's like, oh shit, I'm going to be late. Then you're running to get out the door. Yeah, come on, I know. Been there, done this. What if you can't walk in temperance and self-restraint at your job? Not doing things to the best of your ability, cutting corners, wandering off all the time, listless, not interested in doing the best you can, and even job hopping because you keep telling yourself something more suitable will come along. You continue to make excuses for your will and your flesh. You better get that flesh under control. These are all aspects of lacking self-control, lacking temperance. All of these aspects are. All right, Genesis chapter 25, verses 29 to 34. We're going to look at another devastating aspect of appetite. Genesis 25, 29 to 24. Everybody knows the account that's been written, but there's a whole lot more in it than what we see on the paper. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. We all know that by the record that Esau was a hunter, right? So he went out there and gathered for himself. Jacob probably had the stuff right there, okay? And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage, for I am faint, therefore was his name called Edom. Any of y'all ever considered the timing in all this? How is it this man's been out in the woods for how long? Been out in the fields hunting, he just happens to stroll in right when Jacob's got something brewing on the stove, right? Is it a coincidence? Is it a setup? You ever ask yourself that? I mean, he could have come in any time. Nothing, but he just happens to show up when Jacob's cooking something, right? Because Esau's got something going on, right? And, okay, so, Esau's asking for something for a handout, right? He's desperate. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. He didn't say, give me your birthright. He said, sell it to me. You know why he said, sell it to me? Because it pertains to ownership. And so once it's in his possession, it ain't going back. It's always going to be his. Very key thing. Ask yourself, would you sell your soul to Satan because of your appetite to receive the mark? That's what this man did. That's exactly what he did. He sold himself, his future, for a damn bowl of food because his flesh was taught. He had no self-control, no self. He devastated his eternal future forever because of his appetite. And that's what's going to come to him. Remember we opened up about this, what's going to happen in the days to come. That's exactly the temptations that many are going to face. Pastor's been saying it time and time. That belly hits the spine. People are going to change their minds. So if you can't get self-control, restraint, temperance in this day, you think you're going to do it then? You're going to be like a loose wild animal just to get something in your stomach. And you will make the concessions. You will do it. Because the flesh talks that hard. And Esau said, "Behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me?" And he was simply saying that, what the hell is a big deal? I'm about to die. If I die, the birthright don't mean anything if I'm dead. So you might as well have it. Right? And Jacob said, "Swear to me this day." And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob, all because of his appetite, all because he lacked self-control. The greatest gift that he could inherit it eventually, Esau, he got rid of it simply because he was famished. That's it. No other reason. No wonder Yah hates Esau. All right, Sirach, Ecclesiasticus. This is a rather long one. Chapter 31, verses 16 through 28. I'm sorry, the mic cutting it again. Sirach 31, 16 through 28, or Ecclesiasticus 31, 16 through 28. Eat as it becometh a man, those things that are set before thee, and devour not, lest thou be hated. Man, you're super hungry. Again, we're talking about appetite, food, how the flesh, that's one of your biggest tests of self-control, is food. Leave off first for manners' sake. Be not unsatiable, lest thou offend. When thou sittest among many, reach not thine hand out first of all. So you come sit at the table, right? Now we get this down here too. You have to community this many years. We have a certain protocol. Right? Guests go first then when they're here, whether it's on a Shabbat or regular weekday. And then, here we do pretty good, right? We really do because we understand the rule. But there's been occasions where people just get up and bolt in front of the line of the people that are supposed to be going first. It's just our custom here. And you might be sitting at the dinner table, right? And everybody jumps in at one time and food's just flying everywhere. You got to have my meal first, right? I'll be the first one to reach my hand. It's all about temperance and patience, right? Leave off first for man's sake, lest thou offend. When thou sittest among many, reach not thine hand out first of all. A very little is sufficient for a man. Well, he doesn't need much. He's well nurtured. He's well taken care of. He's nurtured in his mind. He's nurtured in his spirit. He has temperance. He has self-control. He has restraint. He just needs a little bit. He don't need much. He knows it. He's come to understand that about himself. And he fetches not his wind short upon his bed. Sound sleep cometh of moderate eating. How many people eat before they go to bed? And they can't sleep very well. They roll around because you're going through the digestive process when you're trying to sleep and your body is in a lot of commotion. That's why. It's simple advice. Don't eat. What do they tell you? Stop eating at 6 or something? The science has got some type of directive for it. I don't remember what it was, but sound sleep cometh of moderate eating. He riseth early, and his wits are with him. These are all people that have control over their eating. These are the benefits they receive just by simply having temperance in their eating. But the pain of watching and choler and pangs of the belly are with an insatiable man, somebody that can't control his lust. Now he's going to pay for it. He don't get no sleep. He hurts in his guts. Choler, I don't remember what choler, sometimes sickness or something, I don't know. And if thou hast been forced to eat, arise, go forth, vomit, and thou shalt have rest. Obviously our custom's a little bit different today. I can't even see where this would come. Maybe in the ancient days, you sat down at a king's table, they would try this and try that and try this or whatever. Maybe it happens today. Maybe other countries they do that stuff. But as far as here, living in the community, hey, I'm done, I'm good. You can bring out the T-bone after that, I'm good. Understand? My son, hear me and despise me not. I'm trying to tell you something. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't get upset with me. It's for your benefit. And at the last thou shalt find, as I told thee. I'm telling you, if you listen to me, it's all going to make sense. It's all going to benefit you. And all thy works be quick, so shall there no sickness come upon thee. Simple advice. Whoso is liberal of his meat, men shall speak well of him, because they can see that he has self-control. He has restraint. He has discipline. He has the fruit of temperance. And the report of his good housekeeping will be believed. But against him that is a niggard of his meat, the whole city shall murmur. And the testimonies of his niggardness shall not be. You'll be warned. They'll be warning people with this kind of disposition, right? They got no self-control. They got no. You can't trust them. They got nothing good for you because they're consuming upon their own lust. The people are going to notice this selfish lifestyle, and they're going to avoid it. They're going to gravitate to the one that can actually benefit them by being an example, if that makes sense. Show me not valiantness, braveness, valor, in wine. Oh boy, this one's age-wise. Ageless, let me put it that way. Show not thy valiantness in wine, for wine hath destroyed many. I started chuckling when I read this because my memory went back to a few things. And you brothers, you're gonna lie on me. I already know what was going on, right? But, because when you drink wine, some people drink also, they get the super strength, right? I mean, they can do anything. I watched, the push-up contest that we had in fellowship on a Shabbat. We've been drinking for a while, right? Don't tell me, come on, you already think you're already gassed up in your head. You're going to get down and do 50 push-ups, right? I can do this, what you're thinking in your mind. Or the weightlifting thing, right? Come on, you become a super soldier. You can do anything after that. You get a little wine in you, right? You can take on the world. That's what this is saying, right? So don't be deceived by it. The furnace proveth the edge by dipping, so does wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. Wine is as good as life to a man, but there's a condition here. If it be drunken moderately, not in excess, but moderately, then it's as good as life to a man. Anything beyond that, there's no benefit. What life is then to a man that is without wine? Man, you got to have something. For it was made to make men glad. There's a purpose for it. To make you glad, not drunk, not inebriated, not falling over from side to side, just to make you glad. Wine measurably drunk. These are all aspects of moderation, self-control, temperance, moderation. Wine measurably drunk and in season bringeth gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of the mind. Simple. Good, solid advice. That's what it does. It will bring you these benefits, gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of mind. Just have a glass or two. As long as it's not white wine. I'm messing with you. I don't like wine. Red wine's got the benefits, right? Drink your white wine if you like wine, for Pete's sake. All right. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 25. Proverbs 13, verse 25. The righteous eateth to the satisfying of his soul. He's only going to put so much in it just so he feels content. Mother Stallings used to, most of you don't know Mother Stallings, but she used to tell the sisters that you need to go to bed feeling hungry. That's what she used to tell them. And that used to keep their sleep better, keep their performance better. Because when they would, and besides that, women generally like to keep a smaller appearance. But if you're stuffing yourself full of food, that's why she would tell them that. Because it's a bit, she knows, she was an aged woman. She could tell you, she grew up like that. I always thought that was great advice. But the belly of the wicked shall want, never satisfied, self-righteous, self-justifying. I'm all right, I can have more. I'll be okay. I can handle this. I got this covered. And the next thing you know, they're 300 pounds overweight. Knees are buckling. Can't walk, back problems. Oh, you had this all along, did you? That tells you the state of your person, though. You're wicked. 1 Peter 5, chapter 8. 1 Peter 5, 8. This one here really got hold of me when I read it and started thinking about the aspects of temperance and self-control. But it is true. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, he's your enemy, your number one enemy, besides your flesh, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Do you realize how patient and how full of self-control Satan and his minions are? Have you ever thought about that? They will exercise all manner of cunning and patience in order to lead you into snares and bondage. He's a master at self-control. Satan is. Of course, we talked about the elite of this world. I had that in my footnotes here too, but it really got a hold of me. Satan is definitely one that exercises self-control. He's going to wait for the right time. He's not going to jump presumptuously. He's not going to react for whatever reason because of anger. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's been waiting 6,000 years to kill all the righteous at the end. He ain't going to succeed because it's written. He's going to fail. You know? But just keep that in mind. I mean, he's the epitome of wickedness. The poster child for wickedness. And he has that kind of self-control. What's that say about us? The saints. If the devil can exercise, sure as hell we better. That's how you're going to defeat him. That's part of the reason you're going to defeat him. Because of the self-control and temperance you're going to walk in. He can't get you with the temptations. He can't get you with the lust. 1 Peter 3, chapter 8, or 1 Peter, chapter. 1 Peter, chapter 3, 8 through 10. Finally, be ye all of one mind, not many minds, not scattered minds. The unity is the strength of being in one mind, one agreement, in the same judgment. Having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous, not rendering evil for evil, or railing for railing, but contrariwise blessing, knowing that ye are called thereunto called, that you should inherit a blessing. So knowing that you're going to get all these good things at the end, should you treat your brother any other way but the things he just described? It's been promised to you. So do good one to another. They're looking for the same thing and hoping for the same thing. For he that will love life and see good days, how is he going to get there? Let him refrain his tongue from evil, and his lips that they speak no guile. Refrain, the biggest trespass you got is right here. That's where it comes from, right? Speak it. The word refrain was used in verse 10. Is out of the Thayer definition again. It's the Greek 3973. It means simply to make, to cease, or desist. It's a conscious, proactive choice to make it cease or desist. So let him make or desist his tongue from speaking evil. That's what Paul is saying. It's a force of action that you have to do. It just isn't going to happen. You have to be conscious. How many people here, when you talk, are you conscious about what you're saying? No, that's good. You should be. You should be able to hear what's coming out of your mouth as you're speaking, because if you're not, you're in a pretty dangerous position. You really are, because you're just speaking idle words or careless words. Everything that comes out of your mouth, it should be registering here, and you should be able to hear it in the inner ear, in the spiritual ear, what you're speaking. It will stop you. Okay, more definitions for refrain. To restrain a thing or person from something, to cease, to leave off, have got release from sin, no longer stirred by its incitements and seductions. How do you handle the words that are spoken against you? We're going back here about evil tongues, and this is just in my notes. How do you handle the words that are spoken against you or spoken against others? Do you fall in agreement with those words and act out of the flesh, or do you maintain your composure? Allow temperance and self-control to direct what and how you would deal with those words in that matter. Because obviously if somebody's speaking out of an evil tongue where they can't refrain it, it might fall on your ears, so how are you going to react? Are you going to be slow to anger? Are you going to exercise self-control? Are you going to have to go deal with the situation, admonish your brother, reprove him? You see the wicked doing wickedly, what are you supposed to do? I already tell you. So you don't have no blood on your hands, right? And are you able to maintain temperance/self-control when you hear supposedly evil reports of others, when things get introduced into your ears? Questions to ask yourself. James chapter 3, 1 through 8, and of course, if there's anything more descriptive about having self-control about your mouth, it's what James wrote. James chapter 3, 1 through 8. My brethren, be not many masters, knowing that you shall receive the greater condemnation. So who's going to receive the greater condemnation? The masters will, right? So be not many masters. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. So what makes a perfect man? One that's able to bridle the whole body. Keep it in subjection. Bring it into subjection. Walk in the fruit of temperance. Behold, we put bits in the horses' mouths, that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. Everybody here has driven a car or ridden in a car, right? Especially those that get our driver's license, right? Okay, so when you get in the vehicle, right, and you're driving, the vehicle's at your will. It's at your disposal. You have control over it. You steer what direction you want to go to. You push the gas when you want to. You push the brake when it needs to be applied. You put it in reverse, put it in forward. It's all up to you. So let me ask you this. You have complete control of it. I think it's subject to your will. And then comes a temptation. Now we're talking about self-control, just usually something as easy as a vehicle. Somebody texts you. You pick up your phone, start texting back. At that point, you've lost self-control. You've lost that discipline. Now you made your subject yourself to the damage that might occur. It's the same thing with the spiritual aspect. Something uses simple demonstration as a car. Hey, I'm guilty. Driving, texting while you're driving, for Pete's sake. How many people have near misses doing that? Make sense? Yeah, your life can be over just like that. All right, behold also the ships, which though they may be so great, and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with very small helm, whithersoever the governor. So James is giving us practical applications, something we can visualize, something we can see, to better help us understand where he's going with this, okay? Even so, the tongue is just a tiny little thing, right? Little member, and boasteth great things. Behold, how great matter a little fire kindleth. It can get you into trouble in a heartbeat. Without self-restraint, without self-control, it could be a train wreck. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defile the whole body, and set it on fire on the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. For every kind of beast, and of birds, and of serpents, and things in the sea, is tamed, and hath been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. That's true. No man can tame it. Only the spirit man can tame the tongue. The natural man cannot tame the tongue, because it's just in it to speak evil. It is unruly evil, full of deadly poison. So that is the tongue. James broke it down as about as clear a demonstration as you can get of what it means to have control or lack of control over your tongue. So be careful what you speak. Take heed to every word that comes out of your mouth. That's what I'm talking about. Hear what you're saying. Psalm 39, verse 1. Psalm 39, verse 1. Words of Dawid. The chief musician, even whatever, Jonathan, a Psalm of David. I said, I will take heed to my ways. I'm going to take a look at myself. I'm going to observe myself. I have an awareness about me, what I'm doing. That I sin not with my tongue. He didn't mention anywhere else. He talked about his tongue, the little member that can so easily corrupt you. I will keep my mouth with a bridle while the wicked is before me. Way back then, this man had an understanding about what got him in trouble, right? Because if you didn't practice self-restraint, self-control, and temperance, what happened? Sin would come. Luke 21, verse 19. Luke 21, verse 19. In your patience possess ye your souls. So ask yourself, are you a patient person? Or are you one which cannot hold restraint when it comes to speech, when it comes to emotional temptation? And the reason I say emotional temptation is there because typically if we're in an emotional state or we're experiencing an emotional feeling, we'll react out of it without any thought, without any condition, and just speak. There's no temperance, there's no there's no self-control. That's what I'm talking about there. So in your patience is directly tied to spirit temperance because it's going to help you to refrain yourself from not jumping into something quickly or not speaking something too quickly. Those who possess much patience more often than not are very tempered people, persons that know how to control themselves. All right, back to Ecclesiasticus. We're going to chapter 5 and one verse, verse 11. Chapter 5, verse 11. Simple instruction. Be swift to hear, and let thy life be sincere. And with patience give answer. Understand what's being said. Understand what's being addressed to you, spoken to you, and then patiently return the answer so you don't sin with this member, this unruly evil. That patience actually helps strengthen the temperance that you're trying to work in. All right, Sirach chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. And these are all just encouragements to help you to get to a place where you can better gain self-control or temperance in areas that you may lack. Patience is a big one. Sirach chapter 2, verses 1 through 4, if I didn't say it. My son, if thou come to serve the Master, serve Yahweh, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure because it's going to come at you. It's a war. You are a target. All manner of trials and tests are going to come upon you every day. They may be bigger, they may be smaller. And it's all there to help you gain strength, get past them. That's why they're there. Yah loves you enough to actually put you in that situation so you can overcome. Just remembering His Word. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. Don't be rash. Don't overreact. Hold your patience. Hold your calm. Hold your self-reserve. Hold your temperance. Cleave unto Him and depart not away. Cleave unto who and depart not away? Yah, the Most High, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought unto thee, take cheerfully. And we all go through trials and temptations, and believe me, you know, the afflictions. And so many times we think that our condition is the worst and beyond, nobody understands. But we have all things common. Everybody has their own personal, tailored battles that they have to get by. Again, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. Just keep that attitude. And it'll be quicker to get past that battle and be looking forward to the next one. So you go on to perfection, right? And be patient when thou art And be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. So all these things are going to happen. Don't be surprised that when it does have to happen, because it's already been written. Just to let us know, Yah loves us that much. All right, Philippians chapter 4, 10 through 13. Philippians 4, 10 through 13. And again, Paul says, when he wrote his letter to those at Philippi, but I rejoiced in Yahweh greatly. Why did he rejoice in him greatly? That now at the last your care of me has flourished again, wherein you were also careful, but you lacked opportunity. Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned. Paul is not looking for anything. He's understanding something about himself that's actually a huge benefit. In whatsoever state, he had to learn this. It just didn't come out of nowhere. He actually learned this. This is the benefit. In whatsoever state I am therewith to be content. That will stave off so many temptations to act out of anything outside of self-control. That's the intent that I'm bringing this up here. Just be content. It's going to stave off. It's going to push away any of these things to act rashly, to walk away from the fruit of temperance. Just learning to be content with such things. If you keep wanting more and more and more and more, that already breeds the lack of self-control. There is no temperance in that at all. So being content is part of the victory. I know both how to be abased and how to abound. Paul's given his history, right? Everywhere and in all things I am instructed to be both full and be hungry, to abound and to suffer need. So he saw the whole scope of everything. If anybody could speak on what it meant to be content and all the kind of different situations he faced when he was out there traveling, preaching, ministering, it's Paul, right? So he's just giving us the same advice. Just be content. I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. That was his end of his conclusion. I can do it. I can get victory. I can overcome, but it's only in Yahshua. I'm not going to do it of my own self because my strength is small. Right? 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 18. Simple instruction. In everything, give thanks. If you actually do that, if you're proactive and do that every day, you'll feel such a benefit. It's amazing what comes, because it's a positive condition, right? Continually giving thanks, Yah, thanks for everything, all of it. Waking up in the morning, the food that's set before you, the successes, the failures that you experience today, all of it. For this is the will of Yah in Christ Jesus concerning you. This is his will for you, that you give thanks in everything. Hebrews chapter 13, verses 5 and 6. Let your conversation, back to the tongue, back to words, back to speaking, be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. Be happy where you're at. Now you want to improve spiritually, obviously, right? But keep that content attitude. These things will be added to you, okay? For he has said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So you really have nothing to worry about, because Yah said, he ain't going nowhere. It's you that you have to worry about. So that we may boldly say, Yahweh is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Hallelujah. All right, Philippians chapter 4, verses 4 and 5. Philippians 4, verses 4 and 5. All right, rejoice in Yahweh always. We just got done hearing him give him thanks in all things, right? Now we're hearing again. Rejoice in Yahweh always, and the Most High always. And again I say rejoice. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Most High is at hand. The coming of Jesus is at hand. So let your moderation, your self-control, your temperance be known to all men. That's the instruction. All right, that concludes this preaching, the Sabbath preaching of temperance and self-control. I truly hope that these words of edification and life are actually taken into account, and as you start doing these things to persevere and preserve your soul. Again, self-control is going to be one major factor in the days coming up. And if you can't get it settled now, you ain't going to get it settled then. It's just not going to come out. You won't have the strength to do it or the ability to resist. All right, hey, a couple of announcements here. Of course, we're a small crowd today. So we're going to have, going back to the regular dining hall down the hill, that's where we're going to have our meal and our fellowship for the rest of the day. All right? All right, y'all, to dismiss, we're going to give y'all thanks. We all stand. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this day. We thank you, Father, that you're always mindful of us, always considerate of us, Father, wanting us to grow and get closer, to get more purified for your coming. We thank you, Father, for giving us this word today. May we walk it out the rest of our days. To you, Father, be the glory, the honor, and praise forever. In the mighty name of Jesus. You're all dismissed. You have a great day. Shalom.
Uh-oh, look at him looking.